Whistling Death. The epic tale of the F4U Corsair Prologue. The birth of a legend. In the sweltering heat of a Connecticut factory in early 1938, where the air hummed with the clatter of rivets and the whine of drills, a dream took shape. I remember it like it was yesterday. Though I was just a wide-eyed engineering apprentice back then, fresh out of school and eager to make my mark on the skies. The U.S. Navy had issued a challenge: build a fighter that could outrun, outclimb, and outfight anything the world had seen: speed, power, endurance. They wanted it all in a package that could launch from the deck of an aircraft carrier and return with tales of glory. Rex Beisel, our chief designer at Chance Vought, paced the drafting room like a caged lion. "Boys," he said, his voice cutting through the haze of cigarette smoke, "we're not just building a plane, we're forging a weapon that will win wars." Igor Sikorsky, the helicopter wizard, dropped in now and then, offering insights on aerodynamics that bent our minds. But it was Beisel's vision that drove us. Pair the monstrous Pratt & Whitney R2800 double Wasp engine, 18 cylinders of raw fury, churning out over 2,000 horsepower, with the biggest propeller ever slapped on a fighter, a 13-foot beast that could chew through the air like a buzzsaw. We sketched, scrapped, and sketched again. The inverted gull wings. That was genius born of necessity. To give that massive prop ground clearance without long, spindly landing gear that would snap like twigs on a carrier deck. We bent the wings downward at the roots, then up again. It looked odd, like a bird with broken elbows, but it worked. Shorter, sturdier struts meant better handling on those rolling seas. By May 1940, the prototype XF4U-1 rolled out, its sleek fuselage gleaming under the factory lights. On May 29th, test pilot Lyman Bullard Jr. fired her up. The engine roared to life, shaking the ground, and she tore into the sky, clocking over 400 miles per hour in level flight, the first single-seat fighter to break that barrier. But dreams have rough edges. Early tests revealed demons. The cockpit sat too far back, blinding pilots during landings. The plane bounced like a wild stallion on touchdown. And that torque from the engine? It could flip you sideways if you weren't careful. The Navy grumbled, calling it the Ensign Eliminator after a string of crashes, claimed young pilots. Yet we fixed it, raised the seat, added a stall strip on the right wing to balance the prop wash, tweaked the oleo struts. By 1941, production orders flooded in. 584 F4U-1s from Vought, with Goodyear and Brewster pitching in to build more under license as FG-1s and F3A-1s. Little did we know, this bird would become the scourge of the Pacific, whispering death to our enemies. They called her the Corsair, after the pirate raiders of old, fitting, for she would plunder the skies. Baptism by fire, Guadalcanal, 1943 fast. Forward to February 1943. I'd traded my drafting table for a cockpit, enlisting as a Marine pilot, with VMF 124, the Wild Aces. Our squadron was the first to take the Corsair into combat, shipping out to the steamy hell of Guadalcanal in the Solomon Islands. The Japanese Zeros ruled the skies then, nimble as hummingbirds, turning on a dime, outmaneuvering our older Wildcats like they were standing still. Our F4U-1s arrived crated, their birdcage canopies fogged with tropical humidity. We assembled them under palm trees, cursing the heat, as we bolted on those 650 caliber Browning machine guns, 3 in each wing. "She's a beast," my buddy Jack muttered, wiping sweat from his brow. "But can she dance with the Zeros? Our first mission was a escort for bombers hitting Japanese positions. I strapped in, the R2800 thundering to life, vibrating through my bones. Takeoff was a rush, 41,000 feet ceiling, 425 mph top speed at altitude, a climb rate that left your stomach behind. We cruised at 215 mph, range stretching 1,560 miles with drop tanks. But combat? That was raw. Over Bougainville, the Zeros swarmed, like angry hornets. I banked hard, the gull wings slicing air, and dove. The Corsair's speed was her edge. I zoomed past a Zero, guns blazing, tracers stitching across its fuselage. It exploded in a fireball. But we lost 2 that day. Overconfidence. The St. Valentine's Day massacre they called our debut on February 14th, when we tangled with 50 Japanese planes and got mauled. We learned fast. Major William Goyce led us, teaching boom and zoom tactics. Dive from height, strike, climb away. Don't dogfight, use power. By April, aces emerged. Kenneth Walsh, a quiet guy from Oregon, racked up kills, becoming the first Corsair ace with 21. Victories. His technique? Hit 'em hard, hit 'em fast, get out. The Japanese dubbed us Whistling Death for the eerie howl from the wing root air intakes during dives. From Guadalcanal, we pushed north, the Solomons, Rabaul, the Carolines. Operating from muddy strips, we bombed ground targets, carrying $4,000 pounds of ordnance, or 8 5-inch rockets. The F4U 1A variant arrived mid-year with a blown canopy for better visibility and water injection for extra boost. I remember a night patrol in an experimental F4U-2 night fighter, radar pod on the wing, hunting Japanese bombers under the stars. One mission stands out, escorting B-24s over Kahili. Zeros jumped us at 20,000 feet. I twisted, the Corsair's 41-foot. Wingspan giving me leverage in rolls. Fired a burst, another kill. But flak clipped my wing. I nursed her home, landing with fumes in the tank. That bird saved my life more times than I can count. The Black Sheep and Pappy's Pirates by September 1943, I transferred to VMF 214, the Black Sheep Squadron, under Major Gregory Pappy Boyington. Pappy was a legend, a hard-drinking, brawling Marine with 28 kills total, 22 in Corsairs. Boys, he'd growl at briefings, cigar clamped in his teeth. The Corsair's your edge. She's tougher than a zero, faster than hell. Use it. We flew from Munda, then Vela La Vela, hitting Japanese strongholds. Pappy's tactics were aggressive. Swarm the enemy, overwhelm with firepower. In one tour, we claimed 97 victories. I was there for Pappy's last mission on January 3rd, 1944, over Rabaul. Zeros everywhere. Pappy downed 3, I got 1. But he went down, captured, surviving the war as a POW. The Corsair evolved, F4U-1D with pylons for bombs and rockets, turning us into fighter bombers. We supported landings at Peleliu, the Philippines, Iwo Jima. At Okinawa, we were the Angels, providing close air support, napalming caves, strafing troops. The kamikazes came in waves. Our 50 cals shredded them mid-air. Meanwhile, the British Fleet Air Arm adopted the Corsair, clipping 8 inches off each wingtip to fit their smaller carriers. In April 1944, they struck the German battleship Tirpitz in Norway, proving her versatility in the Atlantic too. The Royal New Zealand Air Force joined in, flying 424 Corsairs in the South Pacific. By war's end, Corsairs had flown 64,051 sorties, downing 2,140 enemy planes for 189 losses, a 11.1 ratio. We dropped 15,721 tons of bombs, proving her as an E-Ontsem attack bird. Japanese commanders admitted the Corsair was the best fighter in the Pacific. The chance fought F4U Corsair. Whistling death in the South Pacific carrier conquest and the final push early on, the Navy shunned the Corsair for carriers, too tricky to land. The F6F Hellcat took that role. But by 1944, fixes came. Curved approach paths, better training. VF-17 Jolly Rogers proved it on USS Bunker Hill, racking kills over truck. I rejoined the Navy side, flying F4U-4s from USS Essex, stronger R2800 18W engine, 2,450 HP, 4-blade prop, top speed 446 mph. We raided Tokyo, supporting invasions. In one strike, I dove on an airfield, rockets screaming, bombs cratering runways. Ace fire everywhere. A shell nicked my canopy, but the armor held, 150 pounds of plate saving my skin. Night variants like F4U-4N with radar hunted in darkness. Photo recon F4U-4Ps mapped enemy positions. By VJ Day, August 1945, we'd sealed air superiority. Post-war, production ended in 1952 at 12,571 units. But peace was short-lived. Resurrection in Korea, the forgotten war North Korea invaded the South. The Corsair, thought retired, roared back. I was older, a captain now with VMF 312, flying F4U 4Bs from USS Sicily. The AU-1 variant, formerly F4U 6, was our ground attack specialist, extra armor, simplified supercharger for low-level ops, carrying napalm and tiny TIM rockets. The Korean winters were brutal, engines froze, but the double Wasp endured. Early. Fights with Yak-9s, we outgunned them. Then MiG-15 jets appeared, faster, deadlier. But in dogfights, Corsairs held. Jesse Fulmar downed a MiG on September 10, 1952. Night ops with F4U-5NLs. Guy Bordelon became the Navy's only Korean ace, 5 kills using flares and cannons. I flew interdiction over the Chosin Reservoir, strafing. Chinese columns. One mission, my wingman ensign Jesse Brown was hit, crashing in snow. Lieutenant Thomas Hudner landed nearby to rescue him, earning the Medal of Honor. Tragically, Brown died, the first African-American naval aviator lost in combat. We flew 80% of Marine close support, dropping ordnance in frigid conditions. By armistice, 12 enemy planes downed, countless ground targets destroyed. Global adventures and twilight years. The Corsairs' story didn't end in Korea. France's Aéronavale got F4U-7s and AU-1s, flying in Indochina, 959 sorties at Dien Bien Phu, 700 tons of bombs. In Suez, 1956, they struck Egyptian targets. Algeria saw them escort helicopters, even test SS-11 missiles. Honduras